Hey guys, it's Tyler here. This is another training for connection groups. And this month I decided to let this be a podcast as well going forward to allow it to be easier for you guys to access and listen to. So whether you're watching this as a video or listening to it as a podcast, I really hope it encourages you and challenges you. I want to, for all of us to be better leaders. And so let's talk about this month's topic, which is building trust in your connection group. So building trust is one of the most difficult things that we can do as connection group leaders, but I do believe it makes the biggest difference in our experience as groups. And so there's a varying group of people that are in your groups. Within a small group, you're going to have people that are going to jump right in and they're going to immediately trust you. They're going to trust each other and be willing to be open and share. But then you're also going to have some people who it's going to take some time. And if you've been a small group for quite a few years now, you know that some people it took a little bit to open up and now they're open. But for others, it's really going to take them a long, long time and a lot of hard work to allow them to trust. And I just want to say up front, this is not on you for the different types of people that come into your group. Oftentimes it's from other group experiences. It might even be from childhood. So if there is somebody who just seems very distant and very hard to talk with, very hard to get to open up, it's not on you, but there are some things we can do to help build trust. And so once you break barriers, it is so beautiful. And again, if you've been a group leader for a few years now, you know that there's those times where you have those breakthroughs and you just get so encouraged and you can see God moving. But for all of us, I know that we still need to continue to build trust and be intentional about it. And the cool thing is that our model is Jesus. Jesus is trustworthy. He knows literally every part of us. He knows our goods. He knows our bads. He even knows the deepest, darkest secrets that no one else knows in our lives. And yet he doesn't judge us. He doesn't hate us. He actually died for us. And that's not to just say that, we can do all things and, he's just going to, forgive us anyways. But the reality is that forgiveness is so, so deep and he knows us so well. And there's no shame with Jesus. He welcomes us home and he wants to restore us. But what we often experience from human relationships, especially sometimes in Christian groups, is we experience shame, we experience guilt, and we even at times have people say to us, like, just read the Bible more and you'll get over the shame you feel or the addiction you're struggling with or the grief that you feel, kind of the get over it mentality, and sometimes even perceived shame and guilt. If we think people are going to shame us, then that's enough for us to crawl back into our own selves and not be vulnerable. And so then our mission as connection group leaders, as communities of Christ, is to allow each other to experience Christ, to be Christ to one another, to move past the shame and the guilt. Of course, there's a way that we're supposed to live, and oftentimes we fall short of that. And but yet, what we're called to do is encourage each other. What we're called to do is point each other to Jesus, and relationships go much further than I think, just trying to point people back to the Bible and telling them the moral code that we're supposed to live by or whatever else it may be. So may we create a place of trust with one another and in the same way that Jesus creates a place of trust with us. May we point one another to Jesus. So the best way to build a trustworthy culture, a place of trust in your small group, is to be intentional about building it. And I have a few ways that are going to help with that. Number one is sharing stories. Through Rooted, I've learned this is probably the single most important thing you can do in being intentional about building trust in your community. So each session, each group time that you meet, assign one person to share their story and assign them the week before so that they have time to prepare for it. Really, the way this is structured is talking about what your life was like before Christ, when they came to Christ, what was the experience like? And then how has your life changed after Christ? This is about 3 to 10 minutes. It depends on the person, but that's what we're looking for. We're not looking for every nitty gritty detail. That's not the people get really nervous about that because they don't want to talk about the deepest and darkest secrets, and they can if they want to, but we're not looking for that. We're looking to be vulnerable with one another, though, in how Christ has changed us, how Christ has moved us in a new direction. We want people to come to know what Jesus has done in our lives. So ask the person. Another thing as well that's helpful is asking the person before they share, asking them if they're willing to receive questions afterwards. I found that this is really, really helpful as well, because when they're vulnerable and others are curious or inquisitive about their story, it helps build that much more trust. So have someone share their story about 3 to 10 minutes, really just structure it around before Christ, coming to Christ, and after Christ. And if you need like an outline or a document to help people write their stories, I can definitely provide that. And then ask them beforehand if they're willing to receive questions. That is an amazing way that you can build trust with one another. Number 2 is doing icebreakers or other introduction questions. These things are more lighthearted questions, but they lead into discussion, and they also just allow people to tell stories. Allowing people to share a story or a memory or something like that is a great way to allow them to open up and begin to build trust with one another. Sometimes there's humor with it and all of that as well. So a good icebreaker question might be, there's thousands out there, but a good icebreaker question might be, if you could travel to one location in the world, where would it be and why? That just allows you to understand more about that person, whether they like warm places or mountain climbing or whatever it may be. That's an icebreaker question. It might relate to what you're talking about that night. It might not, but that's a way for you to dive deeper into them and they can share more about themselves. A good introduction question might be, share about a time when you were a kid that you told a lie and what happened as a result. So that allows them to think about it, remember back to childhood, talk about a time. Again, there's probably humor that goes with it, but that's a way for you to kind of lead into a discussion maybe about, repentance or whatever else it may be. But those are some good examples of what an icebreaker might look like and what an introduction question might look like. And then my encouragement is to send these out before your group time so people have a chance to think about it. If you ask people on the spot, you're not going to get as great of questions or great of answers. But if you ask them beforehand, they will have an opportunity to think about it and will hopefully bring a good memory. So icebreakers, introduction questions are super helpful in building trust. Number 3, and this one's just a really easy, simple one, affirm when people talk. One of the biggest struggles we have in groups is getting everyone to talk. And so if you can begin building trust with sharing their stories and doing some of these other things, hopefully people will begin to open up a little bit more and it will share responses to the questions that are asked. And when they do share, hopefully, it's something insightful or something that adds to the conversation. Make sure to say thank you for sharing right afterwards. Again, it's a really small thing, but it goes a long ways because you're affirming that their voice was heard and that they played a valuable role in the conversation. They played a valuable role in the discussion. So that's another great thing. And hopefully you as a leader can do that, but hopefully each other can start saying that, like, wow, that was really good. Thank you. So affirming when people talk. The next one is more so outside the group, but reach out between your group sessions. One of the things that we miss out on often, and this is myself included, if you meet every other week or whatever, is reaching out between meetings. Create a group message. This is a suggestion, something that my group started doing recently. Create a group message with just the guys and with just the girls, or, if it's, only males or only females, that obviously doesn't apply, but create a group message and just reach out just encourage everyone to reach out one time between group sessions, and just encourage each other, ask for prayer requests, just say, hey, I'm thinking about you guys. Hope you're having a great week. Again, it seems small, but it goes a long ways to being like, hey, we're staying in touch. We care about each other. Because sometimes when you go 2 weeks without seeing each other, it's like you got to spend some time really catching up, but hopefully you're keeping that conversation going as well. And then another thing you can do as a leader is reach out to individuals. If you know that something difficult is going on in their lives, something that they're praying for, whatever else, make sure you reach out to them, send them a text, try to get lunch with them, get coffee, whatever. But that's another thing you can do as a leader is just reach out to individuals and follow up with them, continue to pray for them, encourage them, all those things. The thing here is that people don't know how much you People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And so show that you care by reaching out and staying in touch in between group sessions. And the last suggestion I have is hang out together. I cannot tell you how many groups I've been a part of that the conversations were probably kind of awkward and difficult until we had a game night or until we got together outside of the group time, and relationships were just created. And they were so good after that. It just breaks a barrier that is so helpful. So I would encourage you to watch a football game together, go bowling together, go spend time with a game night. It doesn't matter. Just get together without an agenda and hang out, build relationships. That's helpful. It doesn't have to be all that often. Hopefully you can just be once in a while, but make sure you intentionally schedule a time to get together outside of the game, group time, to just hang out. These are just a few tangible things that are helpful. I'll recover them one more time here. Sharing your story, having everyone share their story, creating some icebreakers and introduction questions, affirming when people talk, reach out between sessions, be intentional about reaching out, and then just hanging out together. These are big things and can help encourage trust and participation in your group. I hope that these things help you. And if you have suggestions, comments, ideas on ways that I can continue to add to you and your group experience and your leadership, please let me know. I appreciate you guys for all you do, and we'll talk soon.